Hey guys, I hope you all are having an amazing day. In today's video, I will be ranking all Star Wars Battlefront 2 heroes from worst to best based on how powerful they are and how much I enjoy playing as them. So let's get started. Starting with the worst and last ranked hero in Star Wars Battlefront 2 is Captain Phasma. So she goes into the D tier. Although ranked last, she is not necessarily a bad character. I can still play with Phasma and still have fun. She can be decent in both hero modes and regular modes, but she has some major drawbacks that give her the last spot. She always has to be by her sentry droid, especially in hero game modes, and her blaster doesn't do very much damage. Her staff strikes are essentially useless, but her survivability is very useful, giving her extra health. But I think most of us can agree that she is also by far the most annoying villain to go against and not that fun to play with. Also going in the D tier and the 21st ranked hero is BB-9E. BB-9E is very small, which makes him very hard to hit in modes like Galactic Assault and Supremacy. But when faced against a Saber hero, BB-9E is completely outmatched. He can also be very useful in heroes vs villains if he has a good team around him. One of his abilities heals surrounding teammates, so he can excel in a supportive role, but when matched up one-on-one or faced against multiple heroes, he essentially has no way to fight. His shock rod does very little damage, and shock spin can barely kill guys, and doesn't do near as much damage as BB-8's. Although the smokescreen and scan is a good ability for running away, it doesn't help him get any kills or do any damage, which is his biggest weakness, giving him the 21st spot. At the 20th spot, I have Finn. Similar to BB-9E, Finn excels in a supportive role. In heroes vs villains, he can be extremely dangerous and annoying if he is surrounded by some decent teammates. His big deal ability gives health and reduces damage done to surrounding teammates. His gun also does decent damage, but his base health is only 600, and when faced against a villain with a lightsaber, he has no abilities to help him counter saber users. In Galactic Assault and Supremacy, he can be extremely impactful in holding objectives, but that also requires some help around him because he's not very good at taking on numerous enemies either, which is why he sits at 20. In the first spot in the C tier and 19th ranked hero, I have Chewbacca. I love to play as him in heroes vs villains. He has very good abilities against saber users and a high base health which can be increased with star cards. His shock grenade and ground slam both incapacitate villains. A good team is still helpful for Chewbacca, but he can still hold his own. The reason he is low is because he is terrible in Galactic Assault and Supremacy. When you see a Chewbacca in the game modes, they are 98% new to the game and dead within a minute. His bowcaster takes multiple hits to kill regular infantrymen, and so rate of fire makes it tough to take on multiple enemies. Not to say he can't do good in Galactic Assault, but it takes a really good player, and there are many better heroes for those modes. If it was only based on heroes versus villains, he would be much higher. Since I'm factoring in both modes, I have him at my 19th spot. At 18, I have Iden Versio. Similar to Chewbacca, she excels in heroes vs villains, but is a little better in Galactic Assault with her sniper rifle and shield, which work very well against infantry, and the reason I have her higher than Chewbacca. Her pulse cannon and shield aren't so useful in heroes vs villains. Her stun droid is very good in heroes vs villains, freezing heroes, allowing her to do a ton of damage. Her secondary fire is excellent against saber heroes holding block, and in closer range scenarios in Galactic Assault, but her droid shock isn't useful unless there is a hero coming after you in Galactic Assault, which is why I have her at 18. Also in the C tier, at the 17th spot, I have Lando Calrissian. The X8 Night Sniper pistol is so much fun to use, but it doesn't do a ton of damage, and his sharp shot ability is awesome in Galactic Assault, and useful in heroes vs villains. His Disabler allows him to battle against saber heroes and make him good in both game modes. He has decent base health, but his smoke ability isn't quite as useful as other abilities, but the reason he is low is because in almost every situation, the heroes ranked above him are better. Finishing out the C tier at 16, I have BB-8, which is a lot higher than most people. It's because I have so much fun playing as him in Galactic Assault and Supremacy. He is also decent in heroes vs villains. Both his shock and cable spin do way more damage than BB-9E, and with more base health than BB-9E. His small size makes him very hard to hit with blasters as long as you keep moving, and his rolling charge is very good in Heroes and Villains, giving him a counter to sabers and kills full health infantry in regular mode, which is why I have him higher than other heroes. Starting off the B tier, I have Boba Fett at 15. He's almost unkillable against saber heroes, able to stay far away with his jetpack. He's not as good against blaster heroes, especially Chewbacca with his knockback, but Boba still has an advantage against blaster heroes with his jetpack. The rocket barrage and concussion rocket are good in both modes, but his biggest drawback is his very low base health, which makes it very difficult to survive in galactic assault or supremacy, and is only decent in open maps. In close quarters maps like Death Star 2, his jetpack can't be used to move around like in open maps, which really limits him, and other heroes are better in most scenarios. At 14 is Count Dooku. Like most of the characters before him, he's kind of a one-trick pony. In Heroes vs. Villains, Dooku is one of the best duelists in the game. With his 3 dashes and very fast lightsaber swings, he can easily dodge strikes and kill heroes in a very short amount of time. But most of his abilities are dueling based, with the lightning stun being the only ability that is good against infantry. He is still serviceable in infantry modes with his fast strikes and damage recovery, but he feels slow and there are much better options in multiplayer, which is why I have him at 14 and not any higher. Coming in at 13 and in the B tier, I have the highest ranked blaster villain, Bosk. We are at the point in the rankings where the heroes are all around really good. His proximity mines and predator instincts are both very effective against heroes and infantry. He is good when defending the capital ship in supremacy, and in close quarters, all of his abilities are really useful against infantry. His Dioxis gas is very deadly. Bosk works in all infantry maps, and his one-shot sniper being very dangerous in open, large maps, and his regen ability which allows Bosk to always return to full HP. His biggest drawback is his low base health and reliance on teammates in Heroes vs. Villains. The last hero in B tier and the 12th ranked hero is Yoda. I know most wouldn't agree with me, but I would love to put him higher, because he is so good and fun for supremacy. Yoda's small size and fast moving with his dashes make him extremely difficult to hit with the blaster. His Force Unleash is good when dealing with multiple enemies shooting at you, and his presence ability gives him and nearby teammates a huge health buff, which makes him probably the most survivable hero and allows me to get massive kill streaks in supremacy. But his low lightsaber damage and long time to hit make him probably the worst dueling saber hero, and the reason he is in B tier. The first A tier hero and ranked number 11 is Princess Leia. With her rapid fire, she can absolutely melt villains and cut down multiple infantrymen. Her 3 grenades do a lot of damage, and her squad shield can be very helpful for others heroes because it can increase your maximum health back to normal after being damaged. Her burst pistol does pretty good damage, and her homing secondary fire allows her to be a threat to infantry from distance. Almost every match on Hoth there is always a Leia spamming secondary fire and getting a ton of kills. She is very powerful but does need some saber teammates in Heroes vs. Villains, and isn't that fun to use, at least for me. At 10, I have Rey. Rey I feel like is an underrated character. Her 3 dashes and mind trick ability make her very good for dueling in Heroes vs. Villains. Although her inside ability is not very useful, her dash strike is really good. You can clear entire hallways of enemies because with the star cards equipped it can become an instant kill to all troopers except heavy. She is a good all-around hero, but her survivability isn't as good as others higher on the rankings, but always a solid choice. At 9, I have Darth Maul. Probably one of my favorite characters to use because of his speed and agility, giving me super fast-paced fighting. His saber throw is an excellent all-around ability. He has very fast strikes which make him a lethal duelist. His chokehold is a great ability against infantry and heroes, especially if you are outnumbered. He has 3 spin attacks which launch him super far, super fast, making him the fastest hero and allowing him to move back and forth across maps, killing everybody. His only downside is his low health and low survivability. In tough situations he can be killed relatively easily by infantry, which is why he is at 9. At 8, I have Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is probably my second favorite Star Wars character and one of the best heroes for dueling. He is a very balanced character, being very good at all types of game modes. His all-out push is a good ability, but the time to charge up is a small negative, but he does take significantly reduced damage when charging up the push. His defensive rush is an amazing ability, allowing you to kill tons of enemies and damage enemy heroes. Obi-Wan's restrictive mind trick is very helpful in dueling, especially when facing Darth Vader. His Jedi resilience makes him very survivable, and his super high stamina allows him to block shots for very long periods of time. An all-around balanced hero and always a good choice. At number 7, and the highest ranked blaster hero, is Han Solo. His DL-44 blaster is the best in the game, doing a ton of damage, especially headshots. It also has really good range, which allows him to be very good in infantry modes. His detonite charge is amazing, allowing you to kill tons of enemies and damage villains while also knocking them down. His shoulder charge is a very good ability, being unblockable and doing good damage. The sharpshooter ability isn't very useful, since his gun is essentially just as good in normal firing mode. He can shoot Palpatines and Boba Fett's out of the sky with ease. One of his star cards gives Han an extra roll, which makes him easily one of the best choices for heroes vs villains, giving him the number 7 spot. The last A tier hero and number 6 ranked is Kylo Ren. He is one of the fastest heroes with very good movement and fast strikes. Kylo is very lethal in infantry modes. His freeze and pull are both extremely good in all types of modes, allowing you to temporarily incapacitate enemies and kill them without them having a chance to shoot at you. His frenzy ability allows you to leap from enemy to enemy, killing everybody and being hard to hit at the same time. The third frenzy strike is unblockable, which makes it very useful when dueling and really good for heroes vs villains, but his low stamina and low survivability are what keep him from being any higher. Starting off the S tier at number 5 is General Grievous. Grievous's powerful lightsaber strikes do a ton of damage, killing infantry in one strike except for heavies. His claw rush lets you clear entire hallways while also taking reduced damage. Claw rush is also very good against other heroes. His thrust surge is good in all types of game modes, killing infantry and knocking down heroes. He has high base health, and with the Beating Heart star card, his health regeneration is really good, making him very survivable. Unrelenting Advanced, although cool, is not a very good ability because he leaves himself exposed to damage from behind, and his very low stamina only allows for a few swings, and he is pretty much incapable of blocking blaster fire, which keep him from being any higher. At number 4, I have everybody's favorite villain to go against in Heroes vs Villains, Palpatine. I stopped using him after a while because I started to feel guilty using him. It just doesn't feel right. His roll and dodges are very good at keeping lightsaber heroes away from you. His shocks deal very good damage, and along with his floating jumps, it makes him a menace in Heroes vs Villains. He can be countered by a good blaster hero, but even then he still has the advantage with his abilities and movement. His Chain Lightning is an excellent ability, doing a lot of damage and killing a ton of infantry. His Dark Aura is more useful in Heroes vs Villains, but still a very solid ability. And Electrocute incapacitates enemies, allowing you to drain their health with his lightning. He is super powerful in all types of modes, but his base health isn't super high and his survivability is not the best. At number 3, I have Luke Skywalker. He is the fastest light side hero with his rush. He has similar movement speed to Maul, which makes him super fun to play with. Both of his force abilities, Repulse and Push, are very good at knocking down and killing enemies. He has super fast saber strikes, and his stamina and health recovery is way faster than all other heroes, making Luke one of the best choices for dueling and very good at combating multiple villains and enemies. He has decent base health at 750, but does not have good health recovery, meaning he can get really low and not recover much HP, but in the right hands, he is easily top 3. At number 2, I have Anakin Skywalker. He has very high base health with the Tenacious Star card equipped. He has good speed, and his saber strikes do a ton of damage. Pull Dominance and Heroic Might are both amazing force abilities. It is so satisfying to chain Pull Dominance with Heroic Might, killing infantry and doing a ton of damage to villains. His passionate strike is a high damage swing that is unblockable, but the slow swing time makes it not as good against infantry. His Retribution ability is easily the coolest ability in the entire game, and is so awesome to use, especially if you can get lots of enemies around you. Anakin is my favorite character, and has always been my go-to on the light side. And finally, at number 1, no surprises here, Darth Vader. He probably belongs in a category of his own just because of how OP he is. His bonus health star card makes him a tank with almost 1,000 base health. His focus resilience gives him bonus health up to 1200 HP, which is just insane with star cards. He takes less damage when focused rage is active, and his stamina use is lessened while doing more damage. Lightsaber throw is one of the best abilities at killing infantry and damaging heroes, even if they are blocking. His force choke does good damage and allows you to damage heroes without them even having a chance. He is great against blaster and saber heroes, the best in every category. With Vader, you can essentially 1v4 in heroes vs villains and absolutely destroy entire teams in Galactic Assault. So that'll do it for the video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And make sure to comment down below whether you agree or disagree and what you changed. Bye.